Alrighty then. Here's I'm this perfectionist guy, and you won't tell it by this video because it's not the perfect video, but I've been waiting for 5 years to make a video, and it seems like I'm always trying to get it just right, and nothing's going to ever be just right. So here you are on a very simple QuickTime video. But that little song that I sang talked about how things don't always quite turn out the way you figure they were going to be. You know, I started out to be an engineer in college, and I just lost interest. I figured, why am I going to school? And then I became a nudist vegetarian hippie, running around naked in the woods kissing trees. And in the process of doing that, some of my education in college and God helped me to recall or understand how everything in this universe fits together in just an incredible fashion. I mean, you got the water coming down from the sky to get the minerals into the soil to go up into the trees, to make the green leaves that change the carbon dioxide we exhale into oxygen that we breathe and change back into carbon dioxide so they can do their thing and we can do our thing. Anyway, the cycles of nature are just incredibly more complex than than a bull of a watch, okay? And it takes more faith to believe that, you know, this accidentally happened than it does to believe there's a creator. No one would ever imagine a bull of a watch or an amazing building or construction project would be accomplished without an architect, a plan, a design, you know, someone to put all the parts together. Something doesn't come from nothing. I have intelligence and feeling and the capacity to understand and love and be frustrated, you know, and that doesn't just come from a rock, you know, or some primordial soup coming together. I just have trouble believing that. But at that time in my life, I had a little trouble understanding who that was, you know, because I wasn't really into the whole church scene either. And but I did know there was a creator and a sustainer of life. And I just didn't know who he was. Through a series of inquisitions at a point in my life, God began to reveal himself to me, and I began to remember certain things that happened in my past, like my little old grandmother, you know, who had incredibly bad earache. She prayed for me. That earache amazingly, miraculously just went on a scale from 1 to 10, totally gone. There was a point in my history when I was, you know, totally in the middle of a LSD trip, and a bunch of Pentecostal guys prayed with me, and my trip just went like that, down to flat nothing. On the other side of that, that was like God saying, hey, you know what, I have power over all the power of the enemy. And it wasn't just that LSD trip was the enemy, but there were other things that occurred in my life where there was incredible depression and oppression of just, you know, like when you're afraid to stick your feet out over the bed when you were a kid because a boogeyman was going to grab your ankles, you know. I recall one night when that was happening to me after this experience I had in the woods, and God answered my question about, you know, who are you? And I pulled this little gospel tract out of the drawer next to my bed, and it said, Jesus has power over all the power of the enemy. I called upon the Lord to make that evil presence go away, and it was like I went into a totally deep sleep, got up the next day, said, wow, that was heavy. And I was asking, you know, it's like, who is the creator, sustainer of my life? And it was like this answer to the question through that, you know, situation I went through, and a number of other things as well. I started reading the Bible. As I began reading the Bible, God began answering those questions. And I came to a point where I understood that several key things had to happen in my returning to the one who had created me. We had this thing as a hippie, you know, I've got to get myself back to the garden. You know, we were all about, I'm going on down to Yasgar's farm, going to join in a rock and roll band, going to camp out on the land, set my soul free, and we are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, it wasn't just getting back to planting turnips and harvesting tomatoes, you know. It had to be more than that, although that was kind of what the counterculture, you know, thought at the time. But it was a deeper level. It was a getting back spiritually to the one who was the creator and sustainer of my life. And that was the journey I embarked upon in my early 20s. I'm 62 now. And I've kind of summarized just a quick shot of what I've learned, spiritually speaking, as it pertains to getting back to God. And I put it in this little gospel tract you may have picked up, which may be why you're on this website. And it talks about Jesus Christ, why. And it goes through the idea that hell was not created for us. It was created for the enemy of our soul, for the devil, Satan. That's what hell was created for. Unfortunately, we are kind of stuck in the same scenario that he's stuck in. That is, we, like him, have been led into rebellion against our Creator. And sin, that's what rebellion against God is called, results in death. It's kind of like this. As a hippie, I understood it like this. There's this cycle of life, and it's eternal. You know, it's like the life of God. And it's because God is love. And that's his definition, the love, agape love, an eternal love, a love that's beyond the capacity of man's love. Sin is what breaks that flow of God's love, okay? And sin allowed to continue in the universe would be like a cancer that just kind of like the blackness taking over the lightness, you know? At any rate, God has made a way for that sin to be removed from the universe. Ultimately, it will be removed and cast into hell. We have a choice. We can be a part of God's plan, his gospel, his good news, and join him eternally, or we can join and be, you know, a part of the cancerous element of the universe, which will be ultimately extinguished. Because of God's love, he has made a way for us to be reconciled to him. It's like, I didn't make the rules. I'm just trying to figure out how they work and to accommodate that and make that part of my life. You know, the whole thing about sacrifice and Jesus' sacrifice, I had a hard time with that because I was all about like peace and love. Let's not kill anybody, you know. But I do understand, and from the perspective of, okay, tell me why, again, you had to do that. So what I understand is this.